wanted to do one other video. I guess when I think about it, I understand why people are sensitive, kind of to an extent, you know? I understand why a lot of people are a little bit defensive of their skin tone, but the thing is, for me, is that I don't understand. Okay, so if you're sensitive on your skin tone, then why don't you switch the game up? Like, how can you? And this is, I guess, why I don't understand. Is this? My point of view is like this. I've never seen white people as a norm, even though they're the majority. You know what I mean? They're the majority in our country, you know. And what we see with complexion is usually a white complexion, not even a yellow or red bone like me, or a person who's almost white, they're not, or dark skin, you know. Excuse me, sorry. Excuse me, I apologize. But that's what I mean. That's not what we generally are exposed to as just black people of any kind, of any color. This is what I never understand. Okay, so if for you, you don't like that people point out that you're darker than something. Because I was on Twitter the other month or so ago. People would get mad at me because I would point out, okay, so what I'm considering light skin is lighter than a paper bag. And people would constantly get upset, like, oh, you're not supposed to use a paper bag because it oppressed people. A paper bag never oppressed people. People oppress people, you know? People make a connotation against certain people. What I don't understand in that is that, okay, so if somebody made you feel badly about being darker, why didn't you flip the table? Like, seriously, flip the motherfucking table. From my point of view, I mean, we've been through this conversation several times. I am not the lightest skinned person. I'm not white, obviously. I'm not the lightest skinned black person. I'm not even average for a light skinned black person. Okay? Some people like to call me brown skin. And honestly, on that matter, I've always considered myself medium when I was younger. The only reason I stopped was because of people like the people on Twitter and things like that who would want so badly to be brown skin and to be me at the same time. Like, me to be brown skin, me to be the same as them, and it's like, sweetie, you can't pass a paper bag test if we put two shades lighter than you and 2 layers of foundation on you. You still wouldn't be lighter than a paper bag. And let's just forget about your hands, because, I mean, that doesn't even have makeup on it. But, I mean, that's just how I feel about the whole matter. It's just like, when it comes to being, you know, brown skinned and medium, for me personally, since I was young, I was taught I was medium, but there was problems with that because the thing is that, yeah, it's confusing. Like, some parts of the family of my mother's side, they consider me light skinned, but I was always uncomfortable with that because we have real light skinned people in our family, you know. And to me, what light skin was medium skin was red bone, basically. So that's everyone who's like me, like who's caramel complected, like Halle Berry, Beyonce, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, all those girls, you know. Like the darker skin to light skin, whatever you want to call it. Those people who are lighter than the paper bag, not really yellow though. That's what I consider medium. And I considered everyone darker than a paper bag dark skinned. That's how I was kind of taught and how I perceived things. I considered my aunt dark skinned. My aunt is brown skinned, apparently. And I'm like, okay, if she's brown skinned, then it's weird because then it's like I can't be in the same category. And that's where that whole thing came about. I don't think light skin is better than dark skin. If I did, then why wouldn't I think yellow bones are better than red bones? And high yellows, I'm not gonna say it like that, but high yellows are better than people who are yellow bone. And then honestly, you have to remember, for me, how do I sound? How do I act? Some of the things, the verbal cues that I'm giving you off kind of tells you that I wasn't raised in a hood, sweetie. And for me, I wasn't raised around black people. I was raised around white people. And the white people I was raised around, they were white. So at the end of the day, if dark skin is considered um, less then all black people are dark skinned. You get it? Because the majority of society is white. So if that's the case, don't you get it? I won't even get through that, but if you could understand, if you're smart enough to understand, from my point of view, it's like, well, we are all black. At the end of the day, what I'm mostly around is white people, so, yeah, exactly. Um, Point of the matter is, it's just that, people keep acting like, you know, if, like, we are acting like one is better than the other for being light skinned, you know, then it's never gonna be black people ever, okay? Not light skin, not very light skin, not brown skin, not dark skin. Um, like I said, when I talk about colors and like on this channel, how I see it and how I'm going to talk about it is specifically I split up light skin categories because it's important to me as a person who considers herself light skin. Because if you look at people who are like yellow bones, obviously I don't have the same experience as someone who is yellow bone. I'm not yellow bone, obviously. I am caramel. I am more reddish brown. But I'm not reddish, I'm yellow. Not yellow like yellow. I'm saying undertone. And I know some people get confused about all that. Look up makeup. Dark skinned girls can be yellow undertone. My mother is like that. And some are red undertone. That doesn't mean they're yellow bones or red bones. It's a whole different story. But what I'm saying, when I say red bone, there's two terms. There's one, the reddish brown. The reddish brown is a little darker than me. Red bones are actually technically a little darker than me. But then there's another term for red bone. And red bone is um, being a little bit lighter than average. That's what red bone means because it's a neat definition to it, and that's what red bones are. People always think red bones are very light skinned. No, they're not. Red bones are actually kind of brown skinned, in my opinion. That's why, to me, I consider red bones medium. But like I said, there's so many people that I would consider dark skinned who want to say that they're brown skinned. And out of respect to their identity, I'm not going to tell them they're dark. I would rather just say, okay, they're brown skinned. I guess I'm light skinned. And so on this channel, the way I see it is kind of like just like, well, people lighter than the paper bag, or, basically, they're not darker than the paper bag for sure, are light skinned. People lighter than chocolate are brown skin, and darker than chocolate are dark skin. Um, that's just how this channel is going to be. I know some people don't like that and don't like that I go off of that. and go off of the paper bag. But honestly, the rest of you who don't like to go off the paper bag usually are upset because they don't want to acknowledge someone being light skinned because you feel like you're giving them some kind of compliment or some kind of thing. That's not what it is. It's just a fact, you know. If someone's lighter than a paper bag, then that's kind of what they are. If as long as we're gonna say brown skin people are brown skin, because I mean, like, I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind saying that I'm brown skin, but I won't say I'm brown skin if Gabrielle Union is brown skin. I'm not gonna say I'm brown skin if Angela Bassett is brown skin, because our experiences are extremely different. Now, I don't know the different complexions to brown skin. I just know there's very dark brown, like Gabrielle Union. There's kind of like average brown, like I guess Angela Bassett. Then there's lighter brown, which is everything like I think darker than the paper bag, but slightly, or like the color of a paper bag or something. Basically, a little bit darker than caramel, like kind of like a little darker than sugar brown, something like that. I don't know, like they're like I guess cinnamon colored or something. I don't know. Like they're hard to tell to me apart from red bones. And when I say red bones, I mean like people like because Trina's called a red bone, Megan Thee Stallion's called a red bone, and Ciara's called a red bone. All those people, they're like a shade darker than me, and they're the main thing about them is not their shade, it's their color. It's reddish, and I don't have any of that, but I notice that a lot of brown skinned people who are lighter brown are similar. So it's hard to tell them apart. You'd have to, and the only reason I noticed the difference between this is one time I worked at a what's it called, a Carl's Jr. And I worked with this supervisor. I fucking hate it, by the way. If there was a light skinned black man, I never knew that there were light skinned black men that I could hate. I always thought they were pretty nice people. This one was a bitch. I'm sorry. He was a bitch, and I hope he's watching. One day, I hope he's watching this video. You, dude, were a bitch. And I'm so happy I did what I did to you the last day I worked. But anyway, um, yeah, to me, like, I mean, that he was a good example of a red bone, in my opinion. You could see on his hand that he's in his face that they had like a slight hue lighter than a paper bag. It was slight. And then also the thing is with these kinds of reds, they turn lighter than the paper bag sometimes. Other days it just depends. So some days you would see way darker. And then other days you would see it like right on point, like barely lighter. But he was lighter. And I never even, like the first time I saw him, I thought he was a dark skinned black man. And then later on, then you would realize, oh, you are actually, I think he, I think one, we had a dark skinned guy that was actually dark skinned. He was like a Gullah Geechee dude. And he was from Georgia. And he was super dark, and he would always call him light skin and stuff. And then, like, you would look, um, you would also some other encounter some other things that he would say, and it would be like, oh, you think that you're lighter. It would be like that. And it would be weird, very uncomfortable when these things happen, because, like, these people look, like, identical to, like, brown skinned people. But, like, that to me is why there's an overlap there. But and I bet like the experience of someone like that, I don't know. Like from like what I'm saying, I guess they do have experiences like lighter skinned people because they're still associated with lighter skin. Like that guy. And like certain things he said, it would imply that he thought he was lighter skinned or like someone told him that in the past or something of that nature, you know. Um So I guess their experience is different. And you can see in some other examples. For example, Whitney Houston got teased for being light skinned when she was younger. Um, and there are different things people talk about. Like I said, like Megan Stallion and Trina and Ciara, they always call themselves Red Mountains and stuff, things to that nature. And I don't know. They can be treated like brown skinned women often, but other times they can be treated like light skinned women. I've seen it in my own life where they are treated like light skinned women at times. It just depends, especially among the very dark skinned people. They tend to really know that they are red ones. I remember one time we were searching for someone, looking for someone because we were in the this was a pharmaceutical thing, and we were looking for a light-skinned black woman. And I'm thinking that there's like only one light-skinned black woman. And I'm like, light-skinned black woman, and because the way I saw it was like this. There was only one woman lighter than me. And then that was it. So it was like, and they knew I was there, so I knew it wasn't me, and I knew it wasn't the lady. So then it was like, no, who's the light skin one? And then we eventually found out it was some lady. She was like maybe 2 shades darker than me. I didn't even recognize that she was. But then I realized, oh, that's what they're talking about. Oh, and I'm like, huh, she's light skinned. The I guess from their experiences in life, yes, they are treated like they are light skinned, Casey. And yeah, so that's why I kind of am like, like Tyra Banks isn't that different, and Beyonce aren't very different from those people either, and they are often referred to as light skinned. So to me, I'm like, there is some experience like that. At the same time, I don't think their experience is very different from mine. I really don't. Oh God, it's weird. Um, it's new. I don't know how to handle this. Anyway, I'm sorry. Swallowed down the wrong lane. So, what was I saying? I kind of do think that we do have similar experiences, though, and I've watched videos kind of on this, like the light brown girls experience, and more than that, chicks like my color or the red bones experiences on colorism, and it's like their experiences are similar to mine, like accusations of bleaching. For example, I've seen Ciara, Rihanna, Nicki Minaj, Beyonce, you name the girl, okay? Anyone who's caramel skinned is always going to be blamed for bleaching. Because the main problem in colorism for people my color is the problem of tanning. I fucking hate when we tan, and they fucking hate when we lose our tan. Because when we tan, the colorist hates it because they're like, oh, now you're one of them. Then, when we lose our tan, the other people who are dark skinned and stuff, and like dark skinned perfectionists or whatever, get mad at us because we're lighter skinned. So, either way, we just don't win. And it's really tiring. It really is tiring because it's like, how can you win? And how can you just exist and get darker and lighter and never be scrutinized for being whatever you are that day? All colors are beautiful, so why can't we just be all the colors? And that's just my experience there. And then also on top of it, it's like sometimes it's annoying because like people will want you to admit that you're light skinned and like you committed a crime. And it's like, well, being light skinned isn't wrong, but at the same time I'm like, when like I said, I don't like to blatantly say I'm light skinned. I don't. Because I don't see myself the same as a yellow. You know what I mean? Alicia Keys is not the same as a Rihanna or a Nicki Minaj. You know? Zendaya Coleman is nothing the same as Beyonce. You know? So that's what my concern is with that. Also, I wanted to speak to some of the people who are offended about some of the things I said. Heck, on black men and colorism. It's like, I'm just being honest here. If you attack me for being black, then I'm gonna attack you for being black. Not attack you, just point out, actually, what you attack me for, and see, you got it twice as much as me. If you have it twice as much as me, then why would I just ignore that? Why would I just take the beating? Of course I'm gonna beat you with what you're beating me with. Kinda makes sense, man. It's like some people don't think, and I think the reason you don't think is because of your drug use, dude. Like, you black men always are just so stuck on your marijuana. You always are trying to prove how it's not a drug. I don't care what is making you think funny. If making you think that you can attack someone for being darker or attack someone for having a certain hair type that's kinkier, but yet you are twice as dark as me. Your hair is not a 4A. It's not a 4B. It's like a 4C, maybe a 4Z. And you are coming at me like there's a problem. Why don't you fix the fact that you are as black as you are? Try to get to my level, then talk to me about how black I am, okay? But you trying to just go at me like this for being black? Sweetie, of course, to black men who are haters or whatever, of course I'm gonna be like, dude, if you think this blackness is bad, then what is your blackness? And also, how do you expect me to want to be with you? I am less black than you. So, what are you doing? Leave me alone on that, okay? I mean, like, focus on hating yourself. That's all I have to say on that. Oh, also, on the paper bag test, I wanted to show. Like, today, I actually tanned. So I think I'm actually darker. This is the color of a paper bag. I don't think I have actually. I'm sorry. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't. Eh. Oh well. Um, well, there are days when I do, not pass the paper bag test, and I've tanned, and I'm not afraid of that. You know? You can look at my other videos and see. Many days I go outside. It's Nevada. The sun is always out, all year round. In the winter we tend to stay in more, so I do get a little lighter. But, like I said, otherwise we tend to get darker and we tend to get just tan, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that, you know? When I'm brown skinned, I'm not angry. I'm not. I'm just, the most concerning part of it is contour and foundation. That's my problem. It's like, I can't find the right contour and foundation if I keep tanning and I keep fluctuating and I don't have the right color today because yesterday I tanned some, but not completely, and now it's going down or it's going up or it's. I have a large range. I can go from about toffee, caramel, and maple lane. That's my lighter, but I can actually go lighter than that. Technically, in my old hometown, I was like 322, I believe, or something like that. 320 or 322 or something like that. The shade lighter. But and since I've been here, it's been 330. Um, so yeah, I'm like around that color, you know, and I can get as dark as a 355 coconut. It's nice, you know. I know I love my complexion when I'm at 335, 355. I mean, coconut. Problem is, some days I'm not as dark as a coconut. And other days I'm not as light as a 330. That means I gotta buy more foundation, and I don't have the money for it. And that's just another thing with me. That's why I don't buy high-end like foundation, because if I have to buy $20 to $40 of foundation for each one, I got 10 shades. You see how much that is? And I'm not even going to be able to use all of them like for long. You know what I mean? So that's mainly my problem with foundation. It's just that I struggle a lot with the color. Excuse me, sorry. Um, match really, and the contour. Because when you use a contour that's light, that's like for 330, it works. Second, I'm using the caramel. The next second, I need mocha. And then the next second, I need caramel. And then the next second, I need mocha. And then I need something darker. Then I need something lighter or in between. And then you see how that's problematic. Those are the things I struggle with. I do not struggle with, oh, self-worth because I got lighter, self-worth because I got darker. That's sad. That's a shame. You shouldn't be that way. Like I said, it should, like going back to what I was saying about white people. I was around mostly white people. Does that mean I'm going to see that white people are better? No, I don't see white people as better, or their skin tone is better. You know, I've always seen their skin tone as less than, to be completely honest. And this is why I always worry about it. Like if I had kids that were half white and their skin came out like really light, because I was born very light skinned, and so I didn't like how I looked when I was very light skinned. Honestly, I had a picture with a child right next to me, a boy child, much bigger, and quite obviously a boy, dark clothing. I have pink clothing. And through the years, I always thought I was a dark skinned boy, just because I didn't want to think I was that light skinned little girl. I don't like pink skin. Like I said, just because society teaches you that white is better does not mean you don't have a brain of your own, you know? You have a life of your own, you have a family of your own. Don't you value that? At least that's how I was. What was the norm was what my family was. My family was like me. Not all of them were like me, but they were close enough. Dark skin isn't that far. I mean, yes, you are dark skin. That's the thing. In my family, they weren't dark skin. They were like brown skin, and some were darker brown, I guess. The more I hear about brown skinned women and how dark they are, the more I feel like most of my family is brown skin, and then there are few that are dark skin. And when I was a kid, I used to be confused about how dark they were, you know. But like I said, that's what I mean. For me, it was always the norm. You know, the norm was me. You know, the norm was me. My mother was just more like Randy's color. You know, my cousins were not really the norm. They were just there. Like, yeah, my cousins were really light skinned. Like, one of my cousins passes for white. The other is like yellow, and the other two are yellow, and then the rest are like my color. Again, that's why for me the norm is me, and then maybe a little darker, you know. Especially for women. Like if they're like dark skin. I always thought dark skinned black women are beautiful, you know. I'm never really confused about that. With males it's more so like you know. But yeah, that's generally how I feel about that topic. I'm like, I don't understand why you get so insecure about being darker than something or lighter than something. If your norm is darker than something or lighter than something, be happy about it because it's you. Um, you should be happy with who you are, whatever color you are. Even white people should be happy with who they are. Of course, I won't appreciate it, but it's not for me to appreciate. So that's all I have to say about that. This video is long enough. Bye.